So Nash, tell us about this Festival of Light which you're planning.
So the festival is from January 14th to 18th in 2015.
Yeah.
2015 is actually the International Year of Light by the UN, and so we think it's a really good opportunity because light is a topic which touches each of us, and in very different, interesting ways, and it touches us in. So there are lots of stories to tell from the science angle, from the philosophy angle, psychology, culture. There are lots of stories to tell people, and we think light is a really good medium because it has an effect of it gets you to it. It calls you to it from the darkness, and by pulling you, we can tell stories around installations. And so these installations, we plan to put them around Panjim in public areas, and hopefully people will interact with them and learn something by experiencing the installation and the whole feeling. And
so it would be very bright, very colorful.
It might be bright, it might be dark also, because darkness is the absence of light. So, play with shadows, play with sunlight, play with blinking light, play with rotating light, play with projectors, and photography is light, and videography is light, and light paintings, and even color is light. So, paintings and rainbows in the sky, or reflection, mirrors, everything is light. I mean, a lot of things are light, so it's a really good medium to play with, and we don't realize what an awesome thing it is, and it's free, and it's
So what's your background and how did you come into this?
Okay, so I have studied computer engineering, but I was very much not interested in it, and I happened to do a course on web design, and it was love at first sight, honestly, and visual communication became my thing, and I worked for a long time in web design, and then later I freelanced in graphic design and book design, and then I really wanted to push it into working. I wanted to move it in the real world instead of just through the computer working, and I thought that if we do something, if we make something with our hands and we see real life people interacting with it, it'll be really interesting. And this culminated in a small little thing which me and my friends had in my house in Sukur, in which we built a whole digestive system, and we had the village kids walk through it, right from the mouth into the stomach. So each room was a different organ.
Okay.
And we had enzymes which would take different proteins from you, and some would take carbohydrates from you, and kids could crawl through the intestines, the big intestine, the small intestine, and be shat out in the end. And we had a little tea party in the end of it, where we actually asked locals about how they solve their digestive problems of, say, constipation or acidity, and just to have a little sharing, community sharing. So this was something which was done in a week, and we really enjoyed the process. Our friends, all of us, and it was very creative and very interesting, and for everyone involved. And so we really wanted to do it on a slightly bigger scale, spend more time to make things, and collaborate with a whole bunch of people, so we get different views of the same topic, and so that's where the idea of Story of Light came, and it's come into in Panjim because we wanted people to come across it instead of having to publicize it and make people come to us, and so that's what happened.
What's your view on how design could be made more relevant to the people? Generally, it's very commercial, and
Yeah, so especially something like graphic design and graphic design and is something which a lot of graphic designers themselves, I know, are looking for projects to do outside their normal marketing jobs, and it's interesting because people start doing stuff in book design, helping publishers out, and also making their own books, like comic books, and also, but I think graphic designers has a lot of communication you can do in terms of posters and graffiti, and really social messaging, and talk a lot about and spread messages, and tell stories, and that's a really interesting part of graphic design. And web design has a huge reach, and there are lots you can do in interactive and whatnot. So this is in terms of graphic design and web design, but I think there's also a lot we can do in this field of interaction design, which is not a lot of people do it, and I'm hoping that it gets more and more popular, and because to have people move around your work and see it from different angles, from a 3D perspective, and in terms of space, and it changes with light, is really interesting, I find. So yeah.
Any role models in India in terms of design?
Oh, tough question. I say tough question because of the world being what it is today.
Yeah.
Access is so much from the Western angle, and I.
Fair enough. Yeah,
And,
that's fine.
yeah, and I like this guy called James Victor, who does a lot of work in the social sector and also like spreads a weekly message about how designers should just not chase the dollar and should just open our hearts and be more artists and work on projects which we are excited about and that's something I'm really excited about. It's like money will come, money will come. We're not starving on the side of the road, and it's not money will come to that's not the issue here, and just follow projects which you're excited about, and work on them as best as you can, so that's somebody I'm excited about, and yeah.
A little bit about your Bandra Connect.
So I was born in Bandra and I lived there for 30 years.
Okay.
And I moved out then and moved to Sukur in Mahina, and so my mom and dad are also from Bandra, different parts of Bandra. So it's like, yeah.
What are the pros and cons of living in Goa?
Living in Goa, okay. The biggest con in Goa, I think, would be internet access. But aside from that, I find Goa. I mean, it's an amazing place, and it's an amazing place because of two things. The place is so beautiful, and traveling from one point to the other is a pleasure. You hope that you have to meet someone across as far as possible, because you're traveling through fields, and it's really interesting. And also, I think the people are really open and are ready to open their houses to you and ready to tell you a story, and it's really interesting. And they're not in the rush that you get in Bombay. And Bombay today has become really, really rush traffic 24 hours. Even Bandra, and you can't cycle in Bandra. You can barely walk in Bandra. It's on Hill Road. It's crazy. So it's a pleasure to be able to do that still. And and feel the sun. It's nice.
Thanks so much, and I hope you add a lot of value to Goa in that sense also.
Yeah,
I'm sure you would.
I hope so.